Hey, we're The Score.
And we're hanging out with Rob on Front Row Live.
I've been trying to get with you guys for a long time. I've been a fan for a few years now. And I'm excited that, one, we get to finally talk, and two, this new album, Carry On, I've been listening to it, and it's seriously, it's a record that I didn't know that I needed. From the beginning of the album, it's just like really caught my attention and made me just stick throughout the entire record. Something that I feel is hard for bands or artists in general to do a full record of like hit after hit after hit. So talk to me about the creative process of Carry On, and I know it's dropping on the 28th of August, but congratulations in the meantime for this new record.
Yeah, that's next Friday, right?
Yeah, it's coming real soon.
Real soon.
Oh, man. Yeah, that album was done probably in the past, like, we put our first album out 3 years ago. Mm-hmm. So in that 3 years, we've had a lot of time to tour. We've been all over the world, and we've grown a lot as a band and as individuals. And I think all those experiences, meeting different fans, and then playing shows in Europe where it's like in front of like 4,000 people, like at a festival, or whether it's like our own show that are sold out with like 1,500 people. I think we've just kind of grown as a band and kind of seen like what works for us and like kind of where we want to take the show and take the music. And I think that we wanted to capture the energy from the live shows and put that into the album. I think that's why every song is kind of so big. Like you can envision it at an arena. I'm part of it. And what else did we do?
I mean, it's cool that you mentioned that every track to you is a hit. That's dope. I mean, our writing style is very much like, we're trying to write memorable, timeless melodies that just are earworms that get stuck in your head. It's what we've always done from the beginning until now. And there's no exception to that on this album too. So glad that you noticed that.
The fact that, you have so many great tracks, I mean, the entire record, like I mentioned, does it make it harder to kind of organize these songs in the track listing?
I mean, we went back and forth with like us and our management and our A&R kind of trying to figure out like what the best, I guess, the lineup of the song was, like the track listing, because we wanted it to feel cohesive. We didn't want to have like just 6 bangers in a row and then here's like a slow song. We were trying to kind of, mix it up, and we really wanted the album to show that we've grown, has evolved as a band. And so there'll be a song like the first song, Can You Hear Me Now? Kind of sounds like a souped up version of what we've done before.
Right. But
then it'll go to something with like All of Me with Travis Barker, which is like completely new for us. It's like using real drums the entire song. And so we kind of really wanted to play with this dichotomy of showing being true to ourselves and to our fans who have been with us, but then showing that we're growing and that we are taking risk and we are a real band. We're not just a studio project.
For this record, like from the beginning, your voice is just really something that really caught my attention. So Eddie, like how do you feel like you've kind of evolved as far as a singer? And then, what did you do differently as far as your vocals go with this record?
I think as a singer, I've just grown more confident in kind of knowing what my voice, like where it sounds best and where I guess I've kind of found who I am, I guess, as a singer. Like I think as every band, we go through these iterations of not just me as a singer, but just as us as a band, trying to find different iterations of like who we are, like who are we? And I think for me, this album, I think I just sound the best when I'm kind of amped up and in this like kind of rocking in your face, like, 10 decibel thing. Yeah, a lot of that just comes from the live shows, just seeing how fans respond to it. And I guess the mentality with recording is I just try my best not to suck so he doesn't have to edit everything. And I mean, that's really it. It's not rocket science. Just kind of, I just try to do what feels good and what feels authentic to me.
And then Eden, as far as like producing goes, like what did you do differently with this record after, the experiences that you guys have had before in your previous music?
Yeah. I think this record, we consciously wanted to move in a more organic direction. I'm a keyboard player. I'm a technical guy. I come from a jazz background. I'm like super good with computers and stuff like that. And I guess the idea of this album was to take me out of my comfort zone a bit and try to bring in more of those organic guitar and drum elements. So we worked with other producers who are drummers actually, and laid down drums on the record. Other people who are more proficient at guitar, and to really get that element and take me out of that easy place. You know what I mean? So you're really getting the merging of both worlds, the computer rock world, we like to call it, and the band rock world. And that's what you're getting on this album.
Now, as far as like getting out of your comfort zone, you guys brought in Pete Nappy and Tim Randall. I don't know if I said his last name right, but and Tim Randall, who's worked with a lot of other bands before. So how did the incorporation of them into the production process impact the way that you guys recorded the record?
Tim, Pete's like a homie. He's a friend. And Pete is very similar to, I guess, the way we operate. So he just also, though, he's like a Long Island Italian dude. So he comes from like a hip hop background, which is cool because that helps like the backbeat of the songs always kind of just, his ideas are good. Tim, that was like a different experience for us because he's kind of like this mad scientist guy. Yeah. That like, he plays drums and he's like not a finesse drummer. He's like a drummer you want to see like at a rock show type thing. And he's just banging it out of drums. So I mean, that for us kind of took us out of like, we didn't really know what the hell was going on. But the end result was good. I mean, what did you learn from Tim? Just how Tim operates?
Yeah. I mean, mad scientist is a great way to put it. I think his last name is Randolph, by the way. I don't know how it's like running around. Tim Randolph. I mean, off the bat, he just got on the drums and he plays with like a frenetic energy that he kind of, if you meet him, he kind of embodies that energy. Yeah. He's kind of quiet at first, but you can realize there's like this kind of like zany ping pong ball, bouncy ball bouncing inside him. And it kind of comes out like when he played the drums, and that was really what started that track and took it where it went. So very cool to work with him.
As you kind of mentioned, you had real drums for this time around, including Travis Barker, which he featured on All of Me. Like, what was the idea of having Travis for this record in particular, or for this song in particular?
That was when you make like jokes to friends and it just randomly kind of like come true, or they're just like something. We had written the song and then we were just joking around in the studio and we were like, you know what? This like would sound awesome if Travis Barker was playing drums, because like it sounded great, but it was kind of missing just like the authenticity of like a real, like a maniac behind the drums. And we were just joking around with it. And then Don asked our A&R in a group chat. He's like, "Haha, can we get Travis Barker?" And then our A&R hit up Travis Barker, and Travis was like, "Yeah, the song sounds great, man. Like, I can do it." And we were like, "Wait, what?" Yeah. And then he's the nicest guy. Like you think these guys that are like at the top of the game that are just killing it, can be, the stereotypes where they can be kind of just like, he's like the sweetest guy. He's like super, super humble. He called us like, whatever, what do you guys want? Like, what do you want me to do? And Don just kind of instructed him. I had a couple old fashions at that point and was like fangirling so hard. I was like, dude, I've listened since I was like 14, man. I love Blink-182. I was like,
That's sick. I love how the track came out. You guys also did another feature that I was excited about with Jamie N Commons, which was Gallows. And I just love the way that your music, your sound, and your vocals went kind of meshed with Jamie's. Right. Did you guys have him in mind already, or was that something that you guys were testing out different singers and then his was like the one that fit?
We're friends with Jamie. We really get along with him on a social level too, which always makes things easier when you're trying to be creative together. We were writing, it might've been our second or third session with him. Yeah. And I think Eddie had an idea of some kind of like rootsy, kind of like Old South vibe. And we just know like he has such a special voice. And when you're dealing with somebody like that, you kind of want to see what's their strength, what do they bring to the table that we could never do, and how can we maximize that as much as possible. So we were like, we took him and we have his special voice doing these woes throughout the song, which is something that like we would never be able to do on our own. Right. And I think that's what made that track unique off of the bat.
Yeah. I had this verse. I had this verse chorus idea just on the keys, and I don't know what chords I was playing, but I just was playing it and singing like the verse. And then I was talking to these two, and I was like, all right, let's like do this, but figure out how to make it like Westworld. Like how to, like, you could just hear that as like, you know, like Westworld, like if they made a movie of it, you know, whatever. And yeah, Jamie started just doing these like really soulful like hms and ohs, and Idon laid like a beat down that was like still true to the song, but like a little more contemporary. So it just wasn't like a typical blues type, like, you know, thing. But yeah, the end result came out great, and Jamie's just fun to work with. And it sounds like Joe Cocker. It's like hilarious.
I feel like that song sort of like is like similar in what you're hearing in a lot of music right now these days, which is really exciting, which is the genre mashing that's happening, and you get something really unique that comes out, you know, and that song personifies that.
Yeah, and Jamie's voice just sounds great. It's a cool blend of just tones with everything between the track and both our voices. It's just cool.
With this entire album, like, what was there a particular song that kind of challenged you guys, either in the writing process or in the production process, or even like just trying to figure out if it actually fit in the record?
Is there a song?
And there must be. I need to look at the track list. So many songs.
I mean, Carry On went through a ton of iteration.
Oh my God,
I mean, that one was like the fastest song, but also the like it went through the most revisions that we've been through, like in our career, because usually we don't do a ton of back and forth, because if it's a ton of back and forth, it's probably not that great. But this one was an exception.
Yeah, we started it. We wrote the song ourselves, and then we brought in additional production from JT Daly, who we work with a lot. He's done some other songs with us.
He just loved K-Flay.
Right. And then we got it to a good place. But then we felt that it would be dope to, because the song was so strong, we thought it would be dope to bring somebody else in on the project. So that's where we got AWOLNATION to join us. And then he brought a whole new energy to the song that was different than what we were doing before, and was awesome. And we had to figure out, okay, we got to change some stuff to really make this mesh. And he had a bunch of production stuff that he did. So it was just a lengthy process, but it came out dope.
Yeah, it came out great. He's kind of like another Tim personality, where like these crazy like
artists,
these crazy like mad scientist guys that are just throwing like so many like ideas at you. And I think we were both being like, it's like kind of overload at one point, but the end products are great, so you can't really argue with it.
Yeah.
Now with the entire album, it's like seriously like full of, you guys kind of mentioned it earlier, and it's like full of like anthemic songs. You can put them in stadiums if that was possible, and you know they would fit perfectly there. Is there like a formula to create a sound like that? Because you know not everybody creates music that sounds anthemic or sounds like it's stadium worthy. So was there any particular things that you guys did to be able to create it and make that sound the way that you did?
I think what we do is we always try to use the chorus as that moment to capture you and create something that's you know kind of repetitive enough and simple enough that it's sing-alongy. You know, maybe at some point, like either whether it's like taking a word and making it a repeated thing, or putting woes or something that makes it easy to sing along. And then on the verses, we use the verses to tell a story and get a little bit more artistic. And I think that's like sort of a formula, right?
Yeah, I think I think for us, like the songs always start like stripped, like it starts very bare bones. It's like, it's an idea written on the guitar or the piano. And then we just try to build from that. So as long as the idea is good to begin with, we know how to just make it explode. And I think that we really do, being on tour, especially, has helped so much with this record, because we've seen like these crazy shows and seen like what's worked for our fans and like what sounds like it's, you know, like in a giant venue. So I think we've really tried to bring that to life in this album, just kind of taking everything we've learned in the last 3 years with touring and just growing as a band, and just sonically wanted to just, you know, personify that onto the album.
Yeah. The more you do it, the more you know it works and what connects with your audience. And that like kind of makes your tool set like really like defined, and you're just better at knocking them out of the park every time.
Yeah.
Now, this album drops the 28th of August on Republic. Now, right now, it's kind of difficult to be able to release this album and go right on tour. So do you guys have any plans on how to kind of relay the live show of these songs for your audience?
We are doing, we're actually in rehearsals right now for a live stream performance of our new album.
On the 28th, next Friday.
Yeah, on the 28th. So that's going to give our fans a chance all over the world to, tune in and watch us, even though we can't physically be with them now. But we do have plans to tour, hopefully, right?
Yeah, we announced the tour, at least for Europe for now, for late February, March. So fingers crossed that happens. But yeah, I mean, we're trying to be really active on YouTube. We've been doing like these interviews with a bunch of our friends in different bands. It's called Keeping Score. We've interviewed our friends like Candidates and Cemetery Sun and The Orphan the Poet, a bunch of cool bands. And I mean, we just try to stay active. We're doing the live stream next Friday, the day the album drops, like for this album. So it's playing all these songs in a venue called the Belly Up in San Diego, which is going to be awesome because it'll feel like a show, but there's going to be no audience there. But I mean, it'll be an experience with the fans because just like it's going to be the fans' first times hearing these songs, it's going to be our first time, playing them to an audience, even though they're virtual. So it's going to be a cool moment for kind of everyone just to be together, and then, hopefully we can just get through this, and then we can get back to touring. I think the biggest thing for us is we're just going to be super grateful to go back on the road and play.
Well, definitely look forward to catching this album live, and I'll be sure to tune in for the live show that you guys or the online show that you guys will be doing. So thanks, guys, for taking the time to talk to me, and congratulations with this new record. And like I said, I can't stop listening to it, and I just love it from beginning to end. It just grabbed my attention. So congratulations with that.
That's awesome.
Thanks, Robert.
Thank you so much.